But let's start with Manchester United and the news that we brought you a couple of hours ago. Casemiro will leave Old Trafford at the end of his contract this summer. Well, he spent 4 seasons at United, he's won the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and he's had this to say about leaving. I will carry Manchester United with me throughout my entire life. We still have a lot to fight for together. My focus will, as always, remain on giving my everything to help our club succeed. Well, this came out of the blue. Dharmesh, we've been reporting that this decision was made some time ago. Why are United telling us now?
You say it came out of the blue. I don't think it's entirely a surprise that we're hearing that Manchester United and Casemiro will be parting ways at the end of the season. This decision was actually made in advance of today, and a couple of reasons why it might be announced today is Manchester United and Casemiro wanted to control the narrative, number one, so there's no talk and speculation about Casemiro's future. And I guess for Casemiro himself, it gives him clarity because there's a World Cup at the end of the season. He will then be in a position where he knows where his future is going to be because his representatives will no doubt be able to speak, well, they can already speak to clubs outside England ahead of signing a pre-contract agreement if he wanted to do that, or come the end of the season, just focus on the World Cup and then look at every option that he has got and then make an informed decision with all of the choices that he might have at that point. Another reason that Manchester United probably are looking at this situation and thinking, do you know what, we know we've got an option to extend Casemiro's deal for a further year, but he is one of the highest earners at Manchester United. And I think that could have played a huge part in Manchester United deciding, actually, we need to start moving forward once Casemiro has left, because he's not, clearly with his age, not going to be part of the long-term plans for Manchester United. So maybe this is the time to say, right, thank you for your service. It's time to move on, and we can then reinvest those wages, those big wages, on another player when we do make those signings.
All right, so on that note then, what does this mean for their transfer plans?
Nothing immediately. Their immediate plans in terms of what they look to do in this winter window remain unchanged. We've been reporting their main priority in 2026 is signing 1, if not 2, top central midfielders. With Casemiro departing, you'd suggest perhaps they'd be looking at 2 rather than 1 now, though saying that there was perhaps always an expectation that Casemiro would be departing this summer because he turns 34 next month, and as Dharmesh was saying there, in terms of those wages, he's in a position whereby he's one of the highest earners at the football club right now, and Manchester United do not want to be seen to pay these extortionate wages anymore. Their focus remains signing these top central midfield players in the summer. We know they'll be more gettable then. They'll be easier to do those deals unless there's a unique market opportunity whereby somebody like Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton or João Gomez became available now, but the situation they're in, the situation their clubs are in, makes it very unlikely that those clubs want to sell those players at this stage of the season. Casemiro has enjoyed a really, really good period for Manchester United of late. It was felt that maybe 18 months ago he wasn't going to be a player that would feature for Manchester United. It was felt by some pundits that his legs had gone and the football had left him. Well, he's shown in recent time he still has a key role to play for Manchester United. United don't want to commit to those type of wages, but saying that, the replacement won't be cheap.
Right, we're going to break off from that. We've got to start with Cole Palmer, Darren Ambrose. We know he's a Manchester United fan, chippy chips, etc. The Chelsea fans aren't going to like that story, are they?
They're not. I don't think Liam Rosenior's going to like that either, to be honest. And he's had his injury problems, but he's the main player. He's the best player at Chelsea. Let's be honest. When he's on form, he's the best player. But Manchester United are on the up, shall we say? And yes, they've got an interim manager at the moment in Michael Carrick. Who knows where that's going to go? Who knows who's the manager's going to be? Can't see that happening this January, to be honest. There's an awful lot of money again if they can get that done this January. But that may be one for the future. You know what Chelsea's model is like. They buy the young players and then sell them on for a lot of profit. Well, he's still only 23, Cole Palmer, by the way. He seems like he's been around for ages, but still only 23. So I can see this one rumbling on till the summer for sure.
It's a historic Premier League rivalry. We can't wait for this one on Super Sunday. Arsenal and Manchester United renew hostilities. Right at the start of the Premier League in 1992-93, it was United who were the dominant force under Sir Alex Ferguson. And here we have got both sides' Premier League finishes since the start of the Premier League. We have got Arsenal, you can follow them in the red. Manchester United are in the black. Now, as we mentioned, United were top of the tree most of the time anyway at the start of the Premier League under Sir Alex Ferguson. But then in 97-98, someone came along called Arsene Wenger. And that rivalry really became one of the most bitter in the division. United and Arsenal swapping places at the top of the Premier League, first and second. In the mid-2000s, that's when things started to change a little bit. The arrival of someone called Jose Mourinho meant that Arsenal were left behind a little bit, and it was United and Chelsea fighting for things at the top of the table. And then my lines get a bit squiggly, and it's because both sides lost long-serving managers. You might know what happens here to Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson leaves, and then a little bit later on here, we've got Arsene Wenger leaving Arsenal. Arsenal have been in a little bit of pain since Arsene Wenger left, but none more than really Manchester United. Ruben Amorim has that league finish down there. But as we head towards 25-26 this season, it's Arsenal at the summit and Manchester United's line is on the rise. How will the season finish? Michael Carrick, we mentioned it earlier, he has an impressive CV, having gone unbeaten against Unai Emery, Thomas Tuchel, Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, and they beat Arsenal at Old Trafford in his first spell as interim in 2021. And we saw a warm embrace between Bruno Fernandes and Michael Carrick there, and 4 years later, Fernandes is still the heartbeat of the team, still performing at the highest level. Now, this season we have plotted every player to have created a chance. We have got open play chances created along the x-axis, and in the Y we have got chances created via set pieces, and this is every player who's created a chance this season. Now, if you're in the top right, you are doing very, very well indeed. Fernandes is up there, way ahead of everybody else. Most chances created from open play and most chances created from set pieces. It's almost like he does this every year. We take it for granted a little bit how good he is. Look where he is, way ahead of everybody else. And if I know people are interested at home, Fernandes obviously tops the list for open play, second on the list for open play. You'll know him, Jeremy Doku. And second on the list for set plays is for Leeds fans. Anton Stack has created the second most chances from set pieces this season.
That's a great stat. How do you think he's going to get on, Michael Carrick? I mean, he's got off to a flyer, hasn't he? Beating the noisy neighbours.
Oh, I thought it was coming. I was waiting so long to be so quiet about it. I was at the game actually working for City, and obviously Michael I know well, played with him at Spurs. He lives right near me. And for him to get given this opportunity, you know, he was there for some time, wanting to try and progress as a manager, as a young coach. He waited and he did all the hard yards, and then went on to Middlesbrough. Didn't really work out. He showed some real good promise there. And recently I played a bit of paddle with him actually, so we can't talk about that game.
No, I just want to know who.
I was injured. I had my knee operation. I'm making an excuse. So it was like, you know, it's his first time he's found himself, you know, out of a job and out of football.
Yeah.
And it's a strange feeling actually. And he's probably watching Manchester United thinking, so imagine one day if I could, have I lost my chance to be back at Manchester United after not doing so well with Middlesbrough? Should I go back in? Should I have another go? Is it worth staying away from my family for 2 years like he's just done, and then for it to drop in his lap and to get that win? And as he charged down, you know, it brings special moments. And what's great there is he's already seen it with the Ronaldo goals and beating Arsenal. But what he'll bring calmness. He's very, you know, however well he does, Michael, he's always very cool and calm. Press conferences won't be as lively. Some of the guys that come to me said, what are we going to do about the press conferences? We want a bit of something. I said he'll be very, very just down the line, very straight. But what he'll do is he'll give them a belief that he can go on and do it. I think he'll be delivering information. I think they've been quite cute with the backroom staff for this short period of time. Is Michael fortunate to get given this role? You would say yes, from you leaving Middlesbrough to then going to be manager of Manchester United. But I think he'll have the utmost respect with the players straight away because the way he'll treat them. And Bruno Fernandes, just looking at those stats, I mean, listen, for all I go and cover Manchester United, he's the one person I've been banging on about for many years now. He does special things, doesn't he? Do you know, like when he gets the ball, he'll create a chance, he'll try something, try and get him on the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, and Terry Henry did some great analysis on Monday Night Football of the breakaway goal from Bumo and how Bruno Fernandes just engineered that move. It was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it because it was really good analysis. And actually, Michael Carrick only had a couple of days with that team ahead of the City game. Now, I know City weren't very good in that game, but for not only the game plan to look so good, but for the players to execute it in that short space of time, now he's had a full week. What's the game plan against Arsenal? What do they do against this Arsenal side? Is it similar, sit back and transitions?
Well, I think as well, I think with having Brian and Bremo at the top of the pitch, you could get after them. Do you know, not just sit and wait, you could actually go and press and be dynamic and try and get in behind, and the balls and the deliveries will come. And now we can't judge too much now what happens next, whether we get too carried away. I always say, well, it was a one game. There was always going to get reaction. Manchester City were very poor. They played right into their hands and it could have been a lot worse. But it's now a step up for Manchester United to gain that confidence and belief, and why not? And not to celebrate too much, because as a group and as a collective, they've been poor for some time. And I think that's the only danger. They've got to start delivering more as a group, being harder to beat, more dynamic. You talk about Casemiro, out of possession. Manchester United for some time have been really bad.
I want you to ask him next time you play paddle with him, because he's talked about the future and he's kind of dismissed it and said, I'm thinking of the job.
I'm not back yet. He's seen the Manchester United. I'm still waiting. I'm home for the next few weeks, but he's gone now. There's no paddle partners.
Well, you need to get.
I only played once, by the way, but I'm just saying he felt like he was, just sort of having a look at what his future is, and now things change quickly, isn't it? Football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In terms of the future, if he does well, they'd be foolish, wouldn't they, not to give it him permanently? Or is he not a big enough name? Or have we stepped on from those?
He's a big enough name, right, because of what he's done as a player.
Yeah.
But as a coach, to be Manchester United leader, you have to earn it. And I feel like even in a couple of months, then really it's still not ideal, unless there isn't another option. If Thomas Tuchel comes up and says, right, I'm going to commit to Manchester United for the next 3 years. I'm going to work with the group of the football director, Jason Wilcox, who's going to be very, very much hands-on in regards to recruitment. The owner is as well, Omar Barada as well, who will have big control of those decisions. There's sort of three people straight away you're going to have to align, where Thomas Tuchel is going to say, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Emery will say, this is how I do it at Aston Villa. Are they going to go away from that and allow him to do it, or they're going to try and mould a coach or somebody who's in the system? Then Michael could be that person. But he's got a long way to go. He's going to need not just a real top run of results towards the end of the season to get them to Champions League positions. He's going to have to show so much regards to how he fits into that structure. And then somebody else not necessarily being available, one of these top candidates, which you would expect Manchester United to be targeting.
He's come in and he can look at what he's got in front of him. Will he want reinforcements in this window, do you think?
Well,
you can get on the phone to him now and ask.
Of course he will. Do you know, why would he not? I feel Manchester United as a club, that'll be something they'll be trying to build. And the Wolves, since the ownership changed, that they're already ready to strike. They've already got the list of players, what they need, and ahead of the game much more than they have been. The recruitment over the years have been very slow. They couldn't make decisions. Then they've spent loads of money on people that not necessarily have done so well and wasted it. So we look at other models that have been really slick. They will be trying to get that right now with what they've got behind the scenes, and then wherever they can help Michael, that's going to be a bonus. If you're a player though at this moment, top player, are you going to want to pick Manchester United?
Well, that was my next question.
Well, there you go.
Well done
got
for reading my mind. No, I want you to answer that one.
Do you know,
are they still as attractive as they once were?
That is the thing. They're not as attractive.
Okay.
And because of that manager situation, but we can look at Mark Gay. How long's Pep going to be around? Is Arne Slot? Is that a situation why you don't change? All these football clubs, Spurs now under pressure. It's almost gone like you're signing for the club rather than you were going for that manager, a Jurgen Klopp. You say, well, I want to play for him for the next 2 or 3 years, and we don't really have a much of that at this moment in time at the top of the Premier League. So Mikel Arteta is one. you would say would be a leader for those players if there is a top one, that they'll be coming in to try and take them. But they need maybe a couple more, you would say. If you can do it now, just freshen up. There's nothing better when a player comes in, you know, and you just look, the training lifts, everything about it. The fans get a big lift, and it's going to be interesting
Michael Brown
again.
arrives at a club.
Well, Michael Carrick actually arrived at Spurs, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not too bad. Then he got quite good. Then it was Edgar Davids, then it was Jermaine Jenas. I'm like, let's go somewhere else. So it can have a negative effect, let me tell you. But as a player, you sort of go, really. But you've got to have competition. These top football clubs now, you're not at it for one session. You can be replaced very quickly. But Manchester United has been a huge mess, and what is going to be next? And it doesn't stop surprising, does it? Casemiro today. Do we have to do it? You know, when is he going to leave? You know, is it the end of the season? Is that a definite, or will something change sooner rather than later?
I think from United's perspective, they're expecting Casemiro to go at the end of the season. I think that's essentially what's going to happen.
Do you think it's not interesting how it is now, though? Do you know, right in this particular timing?
Well, I mean, from the player's point of view, it allows him to kind of freely go about sorting out his future. I know he's only got a few months left anyway, so he would be able to talk to clubs outside of the Premier League. But I guess it gives him a little bit more leverage to go out and speak to other clubs.
Or
it gives
something's
everyone
close by, possibly. You know, that might start to come out.
And it just gives everyone a little bit of clarity as well as to what's going to happen. United would like to free up the wage season. They're targeting midfield. I think they're very much engineering their spending towards the summer rather than this transfer window. They're looking at players like Elliot Anderson, like Carlos Baleba, Adam Wharton, those types of players to come in and strengthen that midfield, and they're different kinds of players to Casemiro. So it feels like United are going to be moving in a slightly different direction, and maybe Casemiro was a lightning rod really for the mistakes of the past for Manchester United when Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos weren't involved, signing big contracts for players and almost having a contract as a millstone around their neck, carrying that big wage for Casemiro.
But they almost had to do that to get the players to come, because that was the other thing now, and they're still a little bit like that, where they're going to have to pay possibly more than others. And let's be honest, the other clubs are going to drive that up as well, aren't they, with showing interest in these players.
Yeah.